Imagine it. Turkeys roasting, laughter fills the air, family gathered close for the holidays. It's supposed to be a time of joy, of creating memories that last a lifetime. But for the Jones family, one Thanksgiving in 2009, those memories would take a horrifying turn. They planned a fun adventure, not knowing it would lead to unimaginable darkness and heartbreaking loss. This is the story of the Nutty Putty Cave tragedy, a tale of exploration gone wrong, of bravery tested, and a reminder of the hidden dangers that lurk beneath the surface. Jon Jones, eager for family fun, joined the expedition. While he hadn't explored this particular cave before, Jon and his brother Josh had a history of caving in various Utah caves during their youth. Despite his experience, Jon's cave explorations had taken a backseat in recent years due to the demands of marriage, fatherhood, and his pursuit of a medical degree at the University of Virginia. With the Thanksgiving break providing a respite, Jon looked forward to relaxing with his family through a day of hiking and exploring at Nutty Putty. Nutty Putty Cave, with its diverse and captivating sections, offered explorers a range of experiences. The maze room, characterized by openings and tunnels around substantial boulders, provided a fascinating network to navigate. Another notable area was the slide, a large ramped section where the entire room sloped at a 45-degree angle. The birth canal, with its tight and constricting passage, posed a formidable challenge. Similarly, the aorta crawl tested adventurers' skills with its difficult-to-pass tunnels. Nutty Putty had recently reopened to the public. To address the risks, a new permit system was implemented, requiring 2 experienced cavers per group. Little did the Jones family know that their holiday adventure would take a devastating turn due to the unforgiving nature of the cave. On the Tuesday before Thanksgiving in 2009, Josh obtained a permit for a group of 11 family and friends, including Jon, who was eager for an adventurous day with his loved ones. Leaving behind his pregnant wife, Emily, and their 1-year-old daughter, Lizzie, for a relaxing evening, Jon, along with his brother Josh, ventured into the main open cave sections. Seeking a more challenging experience, they set out to explore the birth canal, a renowned tight passage with a particularly constricting squeeze near the end. Despite the potential panic-inducing nature, both experienced cavers took on the challenge, navigating through a small tunnel that undulated up and down. Over the next 10 feet, they encountered outcroppings of rocks and tight squeezes, requiring intricate twists of the body to progress. Named the corkscrew, this area demanded small and flexible cavers to maneuver through its panic-inducing contortions. Beyond the corkscrew, the passage angled up for another 5 feet before turning down over a rock ledge with a sharp 90-degree bend to the left. Reflecting on past challenges, they recalled the tale of Brock Clark, a 16-year-old boy who got wedged in the corkscrew section 5 years earlier, requiring 14 hours of rescue efforts. Jon found himself in the exact spot where Brock had struggled, realizing that, at 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, turning around in this confined space was not an option. Undeterred, he pressed forward, squeezing over the ledge area that no one else had crossed before. The only grim mistake he did was going head first, something that expert cavers strongly recommend not to do when entering unknown sections. In uncharted territory, Jon remained composed, convinced that an opening lay ahead. Believing he was navigating the birth canal, he pushed through tight zones, eventually sliding headfirst in a downward angle. Although he couldn't turn around, Jon, in his 12-inch high space, pressed forward, navigating the unknown with determination and composure. As gravity relentlessly pulled Jon's body downward, his strength waned, and he urgently called out to his brother Josh. Advising Josh not to follow him but to retreat, they deliberated on the best course of action. Realizing that attempting to move forward and turn around was their most viable option, Jon, collapsing onto his shoulders and head, needed to make a move to escape this precarious vertical position. In the dim light of his headlamp, he spotted a hole in the floor ahead, igniting a glimmer of hope that they might laugh about this misadventure over Thanksgiving dinner. Determined, he made a slight turn and headed towards the hole. The precise circumstances that led Jon into this tunnel hole remained unknown. It was speculated that he might have slipped, hit his head, and became wedged in the tight space. Alternatively, it was considered that he looked into the hole, but misjudged it as an opening rather than a dead end. Regardless, Jon found himself wedged nearly completely upside down at a 70-degree angle in a narrow opening, just 18 inches by 10 inches. Jon's attempts to push himself upwards from this confining hole proved exhausting. His arms were pinned, one folded under his chest and the other trapped by his side on a rock. Straining against the walls, he realized that his efforts were futile. His calves and feet were free in the passage above, but his legs were wedged on the narrowest side of the hole, only 8 inches wide. Yelling for Josh again, Jon's distressed cries signaled the severity of his predicament. Josh, returning to the tight space and traversing the corkscrew path feet first, was met with an alarming sight. In a series of futile attempts, Josh tried to grip and pull Jon up, while Jon pushed from his end. Exhausted and frustrated, the brothers acknowledged the gravity of the situation, realizing professional help was imperative. As the hours passed and gravity tightened its grip on Jon's exhausted body, Jon, with his shallow breaths, tried to stay calm while professional help arrived. The first cave rescuer, Susie Matta, navigated through the corkscrew area with relative ease due to her 5 feet 3 inches stature. Ropes tied to her ankles as a precaution, she checked on Jon's well-being and assured him that they were working to free him. Susie meticulously tied webbing straps around Jon's legs, feeding them back to the pit where the tunnel began. Numerous attempts were made to pull on the ropes and leverage Jon back up and out of the fissure. However, the friction on the ropes proved overwhelming, leaving Jon still pinned without the use of his arms for assistance. After exploring various options and considering aggressive approaches, the decision was reached to employ a pulley system to lift Jon up and out. Having successfully used a pulley system in a similar situation 5 years prior with Brock Clark, the rescuers knew it was a viable strategy. However, the challenging location made the task complex. Each piece of equipment had to be carefully transported from the entrance, taking nearly an hour to reach the other side of the corkscrew. The tunnel's tight dimensions allowed only smaller power tools to be carried in and out, and only one person, preferably small or wiry, could effectively assist at a time. Despite these challenges, the rescuers worked diligently to install each pulley, a time-consuming process. In the dark cave, Jon, who is a strong believer, found comfort in praying and singing. Hanging upside down all night took a toll on his body. Our bodies are not built to be upside down for too long. The blood flow, which normally goes down from the heart, struggled against gravity. This caused fluid to build up in Jon's lungs, making it hard for him to breathe. His muscles, not used to this position, got really tired. Jon's breathing slowed, and he became visibly spent. During this challenging time, a wired telecom system was brought down to Jon's location, allowing his wife to speak with him. Encouraging him to hang on and stay faithful, she received Jon's assurances that he would soon be reunited with her. It wasn't until 4 p.m. the next day that the pulleys were finally in place to attempt Jon's extraction. Ryan Schertz, inside the tunnel, helped maneuver Jon, whose body had settled into the narrow side of the opening. With each heave from the team outside, Jon moved inch by inch up and out of the hole. By this time, Jon's legs were in excruciating pain, having endured hours of pressure from the tied rope. Each tug prompted Jon to call for a stop, his nerves hypersensitive in this critical moment. They paused to give Jon a moment to gather himself, then tried again. It seemed to be working. Jon was finally being pulled up out of the hole, raised enough for Ryan to make actual eye contact with him. They passed down a tube for him to drink Gatorade. The effort was painstakingly slow, and exhaustion loomed over all involved. Ryan, squeezed in a tunnel just 12 inches high with his head near Jon's legs, worked diligently to maneuver him out of the tight 10-inch fissure. While progress was being made in lifting him up, they encountered a new challenge. Jon's legs were hitting the low ceiling above the tunnel, and twisting them into the passage proved impossible. After 19 hours upside down, without his help to delicately bend his knees to the side, the rescuers were contemplating the drastic measure of breaking his legs to facilitate his return into the passage. Time was running out for Jon, and a critical decision needed to be made. In a sudden and painful moment, Ryan blacked out. Upon regaining consciousness, he found himself bleeding heavily and confused. The rope holding the pulley to a natural arch section in the cave had broken, whipping the carabiner and pulley directly into Ryan's face. He suffered damage to his face, lip, and tongue, along with a concussion. The urgency to get out of the cave quickly set in. Jon was back where he started, completely wedged in the tunnel, with the circulation to his arms cut off and his legs unresponsive. This unfortunate incident marked the beginning of the end for Jon Jones. After Ryan was checked out and sent to the hospital, Dave took his place in the passage. Re-establishing the pulley lines took an hour, and Dave attempted to tie a rope around Jon's body. However, he couldn't get the rope past Jon's wedged torso. Throughout Dave's presence, Jon remained unresponsive. The entire operation depended on Jon's active participation for a successful rescue, and without it, the situation became increasingly dire. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Dave pushed himself back into the 12-inch tunnel. Exhausted, Brandon Coles took his place, bringing in the telecom system to allow Jon's family to communicate with him. Despite Emily's expressions of love and encouragement for Jon to take a break and rest, Brandon could see what she couldn't. Jon was no longer responsive, and no signs of life could be heard over the previous several hours. The rescue team gathered in the pit area inside the cave, discussing the somber reality. It was determined that a medical professional needed to confirm Jon's passing. A paramedic was sent into the tight section, and at 11:56 on Wednesday, November 25th, Jon Jones was pronounced dead. Despite the tireless efforts of the rescue teams working for 24 hours straight, Jon couldn't be freed due to his upside-down position. The clock was ticking, and time ran out. Jon survived an extraordinary 27 hours in an inverted position, 3 times longer than what was predicted as possible. The 6 rescue personnel who reached Jon in that rocky prison were truly heroic. They willingly placed themselves in a portion of the cave with many known risks, displayed selflessness in their efforts, maintained a calm demeanor, and never gave up on a seemingly impossible rescue. After realizing that recovering the body was impossible, Jon was left to rest in the Ed's Push section of the Nutty Putty Cave for eternity. The entire cave system was closed off with concrete, never to be explored again. A plaque was placed there to commemorate the life of Jon Jones.